Throughout an application's lifetime, it will enter into different statuses. I will briefly touch on each potential status. The first status that an application can enter in progress. An in progress status indicates that the approved vendor is still working on the application and the application has not yet been submitted. Once an application has been submitted, it moves into submitted status. When a project moves into submitted status, the application is locked and approved vendors are no longer able to make edits. This is a reminder to always ensure that you review your application prior to submitting. Once an application is batched, then it may enter into the application processing queue. Once it has entered the queue and has been reviewed by the program administrator, the application moves to reviewed status. Now, a project may be reviewed and there may be no further questions that arise during the review process. If this is the case, then the application moves into verified status. Once verified, the project is sent to ICC for approval and is subsequently contracted. However, sometimes additional clarification is needed on an application component. In this case, an application may enter into the tech review or need info status. The tech review status indicates that the program administrator is pending clarification or information from the approved vendor that directly relates to the project specifications or equipment. The need info status is more broad and it indicates that additional information is required from the approved vendor. The specific required information is noted in the need info request itself. Once a tech review or need info request is cured, then the application may proceed to the verified status. However, sometimes a tech review or need info status is never amended, or an application may be rejected. In these cases, an application may move into the not accepted status. Alternatively, an approved vendor may choose to withdraw their application. A withdrawal that occurs prior to ICC approval and contracting moves the application into withdrawn status. Another status that an application may move into is the not executed status. This status describes a situation in which an application is sent to the ICC and is approved, but the approved vendor does not execute the contract within the designated window of time. Finally, an application may be withdrawn after it has been ICC approved and contracted. These post-contracting types of withdrawals are specifically called removals. On the right, you will see 3 examples of stages an application may go through. These examples are not exhaustive and are simply meant to be a visual aid, but I will walk through them one by one. In this first example, the application is in progress. It is then submitted, so it moves to submitted status. It is reviewed, and then is subsequently verified. In the second example, the application is in progress and is then submitted. After submission, the application is reviewed and a need info request is sent to the approved vendor. Eventually, the need info request is cured and the project moves on to the ICC approval and verification stage. In the third example, the application is in progress and is then submitted. It is reviewed by the program administrator and it is also reviewed by the tech team in tech team review. Eventually, this application is rejected and it moves into the not accepted status. Again, these 3 examples are not exhaustive and are simply meant to demonstrate the flow of statuses. I'd like to take this opportunity to highlight a couple of common reasons for an application to go into need info status. For Part 1 applications, some of the most common reasons for need info requests is an inconsistency or error between the information on the disclosure form and the information that is entered on the Part 1 application. Commonly, this manifests as inconsistencies around the financing structure or the ownership structure for the project. This may also manifest as mismatching documents. For example, an approved vendor may attach a project plan for one application to the wrong application. In this case, the correct document will need to be attached. For Part 2 applications, there are also some common themes for need info requests. One of the first common themes is meter photos that don't meet the meter reading requirements. In these cases, approved vendors are required to resubmit their photos with photos that meet those requirements. Another common reason is that the number of arrays entered on the application does not match the number of arrays in the as-built photos. There may also be incorrect or incomplete demographic and/or geographic information related to CJA. Finally, there may be an inconsistency between the inverter make and model that was entered on the application and what was actually installed. Again, these are some common reasons why applications might enter into the need info status, but these are not exhaustive reasons. These are simply some reasons we want to highlight to you to ensure that your application makes it through the process in the most speedy possible way.